Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeti Goyal, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Indira Gandhi National College, Latwa, District, Kurukshetra. Today we are going to discuss internationalization of human resource management, its drivers and challenges. Today it has become almost imperative for most of the companies to compete in foreign markets. Companies either are choosing or are being forced to sell their products in the markets other than their domestic markets. Internationalization of business has led to the development of international human resource management. International human resource management is about managing the geographically dispersed workforce to achieve global competitive advantage. With the growth of business beyond national boundaries, human resource management activities also got complex. It becomes a challenge for the HR manager to develop such policies and procedures through which goals can be achieved successfully. Also, there are a number of barriers in the way of global human resource management which influence its overall credibility. This chapter throws light on the motivations of a company behind going multi-domestic and management of its human resources in the international context, and also the barriers and challenges that comes in its path. Globalization has forced human resource management to have international orientation. International human resource management is needed to effectively utilize the human resources both at headquarters and subsidiaries. First of all, we will discuss the various stages through which international business evolves. Internationalization stages or types of international organizations. A firm which is entirely domestic in its activities normally passes through different stages of internationalization before it becomes a truly global one. Some companies may systematically plan to go international, while some of them get international in response to some external stimuli. Initially, a firm may step overseas with exports, and if it clicks the company's operations, it may expand the international business even by establishing wholly owned subsidiaries. Many firms' overseas business initially starts with a low degree of commitment or involvement, but with time develop a global outlook and start overseas venture on a big scale. The important stages in the evolution of international business are domestic company. Most international companies have their origin as domestic companies. After the competition intensifies and domestic markets gets exhausted, the company may then focus on international market prospects. A domestic company may enter into foreign markets by exporting, licensing, franchising, or any other route. In many instances, a company usually starts with indirect exporting. After fetching a positive start, a company may develop a more serious attitude towards foreign business and move to the next stage of development, that is, international company. International company. The second stage in the development of a company towards international business is international company. At this stage, the orientation of the company is basically ethnocentric, and marketing mix for the home market is extended to the foreign markets. Examples of some international companies are Honda and General Electric. Multinational company. The third stage in process is multinational company. MNCs have subsidiaries located in foreign countries. At this stage, the orientation of company shifts from ethnocentric to polycentric. A multinational company responds to the market differences and pursues a different strategies for subsidiaries according to the local needs. Each foreign subsidiary is managed autonomous unit. For example, Shell, Philips and Xerox are multinational companies. Global company. The global company treats the entire world as a single market. It controls its subsidiaries through a centralized home office. It has either a global marketing strategy or global sourcing strategy, but not both. It either focus on global markets and procure from the parent company or a single subsidiary and markets products all over, or it focus on the domestic market and procure from the world to supply to domestic country. Matsushita is an example of global company. Transnational corporation. Transnational corporation is much more than a company with sales, investments and operations in many countries. Transnational corporation is an integrated world enterprise that links global resources with global markets and earns profits. The subsidiaries work as autonomous units but are linked together as a structure with the whole system. Ford and Unilever are transnational companies. Motivations to international business. Locating cheap raw material and labor. Goodwill. Competitors strike. Diversification. To compete successfully in domestic market. Ways to go global. Modes through which a firm can enter into the international business are exporting. Exporting refers to selling an item produced in domestic market abroad. It is the easiest way to enter into a foreign market. Exports increase the sales volume and helps companies reap benefits of economies of scale. It requires low investment and is least risky. At the darker side, because of less knowledge about foreign markets, exports may not click. Licensing. Under licensing, the manufacturer leases his intellectual property rights, that is, to a foreign manufacturer for a certain fee. Licensing involves very low financial risk for the licensor and can provide good returns on very less investment. Licensor bears no risk of product failure, but under licensing opportunities for both the licensor and licensee are limited. Franchising. In this mode, an independent firm called the franchisee uses the name of another company called the franchisor for business operations for a certain fee. The franchisor also grants the right to use his trademarks, operating process, product reputation and marketing, HR and operational support to the franchisee. Franchising involves low risk, low investment. Franchisor get to learn about the host country from the experience of the franchisees. Franchisee gets the R&D and brand name with low cost and has no risk of product failure. However, both the franchisor and franchisee are responsible for managing both product quality and product promotion. Also, there is a possibility of leakage of trade secrets. Mergers and acquisitions. To enter into an international business, a company may merge itself with a foreign company. It is a quickest way to get access to enter into slide number 13. Mergers and acquisitions. To enter into an international business, a company may merge itself with a foreign company. It is the quickest way to enter into international manufacturing and marketing activities. Acquiring a foreign subsidiary is less risky than starting up from a grassroots level. The acquirer gets immediate ownership and control over the acquired firm's assets. Right selection of company is most important decision here and requires expert advice. Joint venture. When two or more firms join hands for a particular venture, it is called a joint venture. It is an easy way to enter into the international market since the firm can take advantage of the experience and knowledge about culture, market, business practices, regulatory environment, etc. of the local partner. Both the firm share their resources and skills, technology, expertise, marketing, etc. However, venture may collapse as conflicts may develop between or because of changes in partners' strength. Joint venture may slow down decision making due to the involvement of two or more decision makers. Wholly owned subsidiary. Slide number 15. Wholly owned subsidiary. A company whose common stock is fully owned by parent company is known as the wholly owned subsidiary. It may arise through acquisition or by a spin-off from the parent company. This approach is most risky one and can pay very good rewards upon success and can be the most dangerous upon failure. A company may go global through any of the modes. However, most of the companies start with exporting. With the globalization of business, there has been growing interest in international human resource management. Effective management of human resources is essential for success in business. It plays a significant role in implementation of strategies and their control. Also, the structures of organization becomes totally different, which makes it imperative to implement human resource management policies. The global human resource manager should develop and implement such policies and practices that are according to the host countries. The influence of global variations on human resources should be considered. Also, there are a number of barriers in the ways of global human resource management which pose some challenges to the management of human resource of a multinational firm, which influence its overall credibility. Barriers to effective global human resource management. Political or legal factors. It deals with discrimination laws, health and safety laws, consumer protection laws, copyright and patent laws, various labor legislations and case laws, etc. Understanding of the regulatory bodies and processes is one of the most important problems that a business can have while venturing into other countries. Moreover, such factors remain ever changing, which adds to the complexity. A change in political and legal environment affects almost all aspects of human resource management. These factors need to be anticipated and their implications need to be examined to bring about necessary adjustment within the organization so that they can face any change without any breakdown in its normal functioning. As governments change, so do the people who have control over your business. An organization should head towards only those countries which are politically stable. In countries where unstable political legal systems prevail, besides other risks, there are risks of expropriation and confiscation of assets. The governments of certain countries face coups, corruption, dictatorial rules that all badly affect the legal business environment. Cultural factors. Culture refers to the values, beliefs and actions of a distinct group of people. Cultural differences not only exist between nations, but significant cultural differences exist within a nation as well. Cultural forces represent another important concern affecting international human resource management. Culture can lead to ethical differences among countries. Difficulties that result from the cultural difference in the business are language problems, pricing difficulties and cultural collusions. Culture of every country is unique in its own but may have some similarity with other cultures. The greater are the cultural differences among nations, more difficult the task of HR manager becomes. The global human resource management should apply such policies, procedures in the organization which are in accordance with the local culture of the country or region. There may be certain cultural norms that are allowed in one country but are prohibited in another country. Therefore, the HR activities appropriate in one culture or the country may have to be altered to fit appropriately into another culture or country. Economic factors. First of all, the cost of all factors, including labor, is different across different countries. It poses a serious problem for a global business in setting uniform policies and procedures. Another thing is that different countries have different economic systems which act as a barrier for effective human resource management. Capitalist economies focus on efficiency, productivity, while socialist economy focus social welfare like elimination of unemployment even at cost of efficiency, which is definitely harmful for the organization. Labor or management relations factor. The policies and procedures of global human resource management are affected by relations of workers and employees with the management. Nature of these relations varies from one country to another country of the world, which makes the HR activities difficult. Infrastructure. Another major barrier to international expansion is the lack of infrastructure facilities at the other country. Due to poor transport, communications, and energy infrastructures, multinational companies hesitate to expand to other countries because without adequate infrastructure, there will be huge operating hurdles or it will require huge outlay to develop infrastructure first. Challenges to international human resource management. Managing the risks of global operation. Cultural and linguistic differences. Developing a global mindset. Change management. Succession planning or leadership development. Policy decision. Challenges in staffing or choosing the staffing approach. Following a right staffing approach is also a challenge in global management. One aspect in international business is to choose the right staffing approach out of the 4 approaches, which are ethnocentric, regiocentric, polycentric, and geocentric. This staffing policy is generally used by managers from homogeneous background and culture, and they like to replicate the policies and procedures followed in the headquarters for the subsidiaries. Extensive use of parent company national is made to establish and manage the subsidiary operations. Decision making almost remains centralized and parent company exercises high control over the overall operations of the subsidiaries. Second is polycentricism or regiocentrism. Under polycentric approach, the subsidiaries are managed by the host country nationals and the parent company is managed by the parent company nationals. Initially, the managers may follow the policy of ethnocentrism employing mostly expatriates, but with increased experience, policy of polycentricism or regiocentrism may evolve. As involvement in international operations grow, the host country culture and traditions began to be used for managing company operations. The decentralization policy is followed and subsidiaries operate as autonomous units. Host country nationals are usually employed to manage the subsidiaries and relatively autonomous from headquarters influence and oversight. The difference between polycentric and regiocentric approach is that under polycentric approach, key positions in subsidiaries are staffed by host country nationals and those in headquarters staffed by parent country nationals. Under regiocentric approach, key positions are staffed by host country nationals within particular geographical regions, such as continent-wise. Geocentrism. In geocentric approach, all positions, whether in headquarters or subsidiaries, are staffed by people based on merit, irrespective of their nationality. the best HR practices are adopted irrespective of the origin, and extensive use of expatriates and impatriates is made. In firms with a geocentric orientation, HR practices tend to be more eclectic, borrowing best practices from around the world, rather than giving preference necessarily to either headquarters or local practices. As we can see in the figure given below, the four approaches, polycentric, geocentric, ethnocentric and regiocentric, have been depicted. When there is high focus on multicultural differences and low focus on multicultural commonalities. Conclusion: despite the integration of world economies with each other, there are several factors which separate each economy from other. Every country has its own political, legal, cultural, economic system, different rules and regulations which govern their functioning. There are significant differences in the way by which business activities are organized and employees are managed. For a multinational firm, it becomes a challenge to adopt such human resource activities that balance the need for global integration and local adaptation. There are no universal models of international human resource management that can be applied everywhere. It is of utmost importance that organization invests in training of employees so that they can understand the challenges of the global environment and perform better. Thank you.